Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Dental Download podcast. I'm so excited to be recording today. I'm in the very best mood. And quickly, before we get into everything, I do just want to say thank you so much for listening and for following the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to. If you want to leave it a review on Apple Podcasts, that helps me out a lot too. Our Instagram is growing so much. If you're not already following it, it's at Dental Download Podcast. And that's just a really great place because I try to be very interactive on the stories, getting your guys' feedback, sharing your own tips and motivation, and just kind of building a community over there. So make sure you guys are following along. But this week's episode, I am so excited to be sharing it with you. It might be my favorite episode yet. I don't want to pick favorites, but it is a very good one. So Dr. Shivani Kamodia lives in San Antonio, Texas right now. She graduated with her DDS from University of Michigan, and she went to UBuffalo for her undergrad. And this episode, I truly just think is incredible for anyone, whether you're in dental school right now, just graduated from dental school, and definitely for all the pre-dental students, because she's just so transparent about the parts of dental school and being a dentist that are so great and enjoyable, how to make the most of it. But she's also very transparent about the struggles that herself and many other people go through while in those 4 years of dental school and also when they start practicing dentistry. So about half the episode, the first half, we talk about her 4 years in dental school. And then during the second half, she gives more of her advice for people entering the profession. And it's just a really, really great episode. So I'm so excited for you guys to hear it. As usual, I'm going to do my quick little intro and then we'll get right into the episode with Shivani. So what I've been up to, fun little dental thing. I have my first kind of club student organization meeting that I get to go to tonight for the American Association of Women Dentists. I'm not like officially joining the club. They just invited us to watch the Zoom presentation. The speaker is a dentist, so I'm going to tune into that tonight. I'm super excited. I got my hammock. If you listened to the last episode, I was so excited for that to be coming in. So I've been using that every day, been out in the park, sitting in my hammock, one with nature, reading books. So reading is another thing that I've been up to. It's so off-brand for me, but the book I just finished was like a young adult fiction called Such a Good Age. I really recommend that. A little synopsis of it from my perspective, I guess I would say it kind of goes through like the 20-something and 30-something types of experiences you could maybe expect for these fictional characters, but also deals with a lot of like underlying issues of racism that happen today. So it's a really good book in my opinion. And then the book I'm reading now is actually what's been motivating me this week in a way. It's called The Defining Decade, Why Your 20s Matter and How to Make the Most of It. The author is Meg Jay. She's a psychologist, like a PhD, and it is so good. You guys have to just look it up. It's basically a self-development book that covers a third of it about work, and then about love, and then about brain and the body. And it just gives so many different people's perspectives. And I just feel like as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, that's me. Oh, that's this friend. Oh, that's this other friend. So I think anyone would really relate to it and get a lot out of it if you are in your 20s. I think it's just the best book. It's a super easy read. It's pretty short. I started it yesterday. I'm already like a third of the way through. So that's one of the things that's been motivating this week is that particular book. So I really, really recommend it if you're looking for a summer read or just a way to motivate yourself, improve yourself, all of those things. And then the final thing that's been motivating me is keeping my space clean, making my bed every morning, just kind of setting the tone for the day and then like trying to let go of the past and like embracing whatever opportunity this day brings. That's kind of the motivation I want to give you guys before we get started with this episode. But now we're going to jump right into the talk with Shivani. Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then distribute it everywhere and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters. Here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right away from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify, but also everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available, and you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Did I mention it is totally free, no catch? I've been using Spotify for Podcasters since the very beginning of my show, and now we're nearing our 200th episode. So I can definitely say it's an easy platform, and I've really loved using it. So be sure to download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. All right. Hi, everyone. So we do have a guest today. I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Shivani Kamodia, and I am a general dentist who graduated from Michigan in 2018. And I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. So what are you doing now that you have graduated? I know it's kind of a weird time, but...
Yeah. So I, right after graduation, moved to San Antonio, Texas. So I have been here almost practicing for 2 full years now. And I got married in December, and I married someone I graduated with, actually. So my husband, Aaron, is doing his prostho residency at the Health Science Center here in San Antonio. And he also went to undergrad at Michigan State. So he's a Sparty just like you. And we met in dental school at Michigan. So I moved here with him. Like I said, we got married in December, and we will be here and through the end of his residency. So a little over a year.
Nice. And did you have your mind pretty set on general dentistry, since you're not doing a residency? Or are you considering it still?
Correct.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So I wanted to focus on general, and I did apply and consider some residency programs just as like a GPR and AGD. So in general dentistry, and just the way the timing worked out, moving here and starting practicing was best for me.
Nice. So are you in a private practice as an associate right now?
Correct. So when I started, I was actually working for Pacific Dental Services. So they are more of a corporate style dentistry. Really great company to work for right out the gate. I worked with that company for a year, mostly at one practice. And it was a really great opportunity to become more efficient and fast as a general dentist. Also learn a bit more of the technology that now actually you will get to be learning your first year. But back in my time in dental school, there wasn't as much of an emphasis clinically as learning digital dentistry. So really great opportunity then. And then last year around this time, I moved to a private practice with just one owner. It's a much smaller operation, and I really like where I'm at right now.
That's so exciting. I feel like that gives you a great opportunity to really get to know patients, since it's a smaller private setting. That's awesome.
Definitely. Yeah.
So do you want to talk a little bit about your journey getting accepted to dental school? Where did you do undergrad? How was your path with all of that and choosing a school as well?
Yeah. So I'm originally from upstate New York, and I went to undergrad at University at Buffalo. I studied biology and biomedical sciences. And I actually, in undergrad, had a really strong passion for environmental sciences. So I kind of combined my environmental and biology passions into one major, and applied to dental school kind of through the traditional path. So as a oh man, it seems so long ago, take the DAT, and then you complete your application. You submit it your senior year, right? Or no, your junior year. And then you go through the interview process senior year. Yeah. So I went through the traditional path of that, and interviewed at a handful of schools. And the top 2 contenders were my undergraduate school, University at Buffalo. They have a really great dental school, and then University of Michigan. And the interview process was definitely interesting. And I landed with Michigan because both my dad and my sister are actually dentists, and they both went to Michigan. So one of the really big reasons I picked Michigan was the legacy, but also my sister was going to be a D4 when I was a D1, and just the opportunity to be in the same program with her at the same time and have all of her wisdom and support as I was going through the process, knowing that she would have had, the same classes and a lot of the same faculty. That was a huge asset.
Yeah, that's really cool. I feel like that's one thing I've noticed about Michigan is they have a pretty good chunk of their students that are out of state, and then also graduates go all around the country for residencies or just for work, which I think is a benefit in my eyes.
Definitely. Yeah. Having a degree from Michigan, any type of degree, I think is a really globally recognized school and name. So it has a lot of power.
So was dental school at Michigan like everything you hoped and expected it would be?
Yeah, it was actually so much more than what I expected it to be. Yes, I learned so much about dentistry, but it was also just an opportunity. So for other people who are maybe going directly from undergrad to grad school, it's really an opportunity to redefine yourself as an adult. So now you are in your 20s, you know a little bit more, you have a little bit more life experience, and you really can redecide how you want to engage with the world. And so for me, I think it was so much of like coming into adulthood, and really learning how I want to interact with people, how I want to kind of be within a community. And so that was a really big learning curve as well. Obviously, the dentistry the dental school material took a lot of time and effort, but really just like the social aspects of it all were probably the biggest thing for me. And being able to, the friends that you make in dental school, they're lifelong friends. And so it's a really awesome community that people are hard workers, but they also like to celebrate. And I think that was such a fun way to look at life. And that's something that we still do. We work hard during the week, and now we can relax on the weekends, relax after work. And it's a really great balance. So really learning that work-life balance.
Yeah, that makes me really excited. That's like one thing I'm definitely looking forward to is just the people that you get to meet at dental school. I feel like it's something like you always are going to have. And is there anything, you kind of mentioned that there was like a learning curve or just adjusting to everything? Is there anything you wish you would have done differently or done sooner? Or do you think everything like worked out how best way it could have, I guess?
Yeah, I think everything worked out really well. Luckily, I felt like I mentioned, having my sister, I had a lot of other mentors in dental school, like older upperclassmen, and they shared a lot of wisdom with me that I would love to share with others, is that you're there to learn dentistry. You're not there to get like an A on the exam. So it's less, if you were to focus less on the number or the grade, you're going to come away with so much more experience. And, it's the idea that in life as a dentist, what you learn, you're not constantly asking like, do I need to know this? Is this going to be on the exam? What you're learning is because you're taking care of other human beings. Like, you're there to take care of someone else's oral health. You're there to treat pain, to treat disease, and studying something because it might be on the exam is like the wrong motivation. So if you can go into this education really trying to gain tools to better treat your patients and come from that state of mind, as opposed to like, is this on the exam? Because that's a hard mindset to get out of.
Yeah.
We've all been groomed into just being high achievers and having results on exams, right? And so this is so different. And if you're not going to pursue a specialty, then it does give you a little bit more flexibility in terms of grade, that you don't just have to be focused on getting the highest score. You can really focus on what information is going to be most important for my patients.
So would you say, since you do have a lot of classes that you're taking each semester, and it's just, everyone says it's a big like content load to handle, is there certain classes that you think you should be putting more of your own effort and focus into then, if you're trying to really focus on like learning to be a good like clinician?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a great question. I would say first and foremost, everyone has different strengths and different interests. So if you are gravitating more towards anatomy or of the physiology, then that will be a strength, and that might be something that you can learn really, really well. Whereas some people might prefer more of like biomaterials or more of like the science of dental materials instead of the biology. And so if that's where your passion is gravitating towards, I would say first learn or be open to the idea that you might enjoy one area of dentistry more than another, and be able to identify that. And then know that you won't be able to learn everything. So if you're going to commit yourself to doing really well in a certain class, or like really learning the material, just know that you might not be able to study just as hard for a different class. So you kind of have to pick your strengths. And my recommendation would be, like, it's better to know something really, really well than to know just a little bit of everything. And it's challenging as a general dentist because there is so much to learn. So in school, if you can just like focus on a couple of things and know those really well, then you'll come out really strong with like some very strong, well-honed skills. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. What were some of your like favorite classes that you got to take in dental school then? If you can remember any specifics.
I know, that's hard. Well, you're right. You take so many classes that it just all blurs together. So I couldn't really tell you the years anymore, or the different semesters. But I know for myself, I really am a hands-on learner. So everything we did in the simulation lab, so in sim lab, was really the best way for me to learn. And so the way that Michigan does it, and I'm pretty sure they still do it this way, is you have a didactic course on the clinical skills right before you go into sim lab and you practice it. So you're learning about, let's say, like different burrs in a lecture, and then you go into the sim lab and now you're like practicing drilling with all these different burrs. So it's such a great way to learn the information through first didactic, then through practically applying it. And that's my learning style, is hands-on. And so my favorite classes were always the ones that were more hands-on. And as you move through dental school, that's how everything becomes. And so that's and I think a lot of people who are attracted to this field are hands-on learners. So the digital dentistry as well, because that is pretty much what I practice all day, every day. I do both of the places I've worked at since graduation were heavy in CEREC. So we had intraoral scanners, we had in-office mills, and that was like something I wish I had focused or learned more of in dentistry. And I was really attracted to those classes in dental school.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. One more question about dental school, then we'll get into like actually practicing as a dentist now. But what like surprised you the most about dental school, or like something that you didn't expect when you started versus finished?
So I was expecting, or I guess I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed it and how much fun I had. So like I said, I went in with the mindset of not really worried too much about grades and more just there for the experience. And I just wanted to like learn how to be a good clinician, and I wanted to enjoy myself. And really, I was so surprised with how accessible a healthy a school life balance is. So I taught yoga throughout dental school. I like enjoyed eating at a lot of the restaurants in Ann Arbor. I enjoyed going to the farmers market every Saturday. And so, like game days, things like that. So there's so much that Ann Arbor has to offer that my favorite part, or what I was most surprised of, is just how amazing the university is and like everything the town has to offer, the city has to offer. So taking advantage of all of that, and like really, like I said at the beginning, work hard, play hard. So when you're studying and you're focusing on school, like be completely present to that. And then you will have the time and some more flexibility to enjoy the rest of the time that you have there.
All right. That's really good advice. Thank you. So now more about being a dentist now. So what's like your favorite part about being a dentist? I know that's probably hard to pinpoint, but...
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think it is that there's so many procedures, there's so many different skills. So just when I'm starting to feel like I have a good control or good handle over a certain procedure, my mind, maybe I'm starting to get a little bored. There's like 1,000 different procedures I can start to look at and learn. Lots of continuing ed. There's so many CE courses, different technology. And so I'm never going to get bored. And if I do get bored, it is like the time to now go explore a new skill to add to my toolbox.
Awesome. And I guess that kind of covers also like what's the biggest, would you say that's also the biggest challenge, or would you say there's some other aspect of dentistry that's really been challenging for you?
No, I think that is definitely a big challenge because there is a lot of comparison that happens in this profession, especially now as social media is becoming such a big thing with dentists, that I can easily go down this rabbit hole of looking at beautifully done dental work on Instagram and be like, why can't I practice like that? Or, comparing my skill set. And you have to take everything that you see on social media with a grain of salt and know that every person has to go through a process to get there. And if I'm constantly focused on like aesthetic dentistry, but now I also want to do implants, but I also want to be really good at endo, if I want to be really good at something, then I need to pick one thing and focus on that and master it before I move on to the next. So it is really challenging to keep your focus if there is a certain goal you're trying to reach, because you can be pulled in a million different directions and will constantly compare yourself to other people.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's also, comparison is a huge hurdle to get over with like undergrad being pre-dental and probably in dental school as well. Probably never goes away. So it's good to
yeah, definitely
learn how to handle it for sure. How would you say the dentistry fits into your like overall life goals? And you mentioned like work-life balance, like your hobbies and everything.
Yeah. So I would say it is so freeing to go to work and come home at like 5 or 6 p.m. And then I don't have to think about dentistry for the rest of the day if I don't want to. And right now it's a really sweet spot in my life where, we don't have any kids and I don't have a whole lot of other commitment that it's really opened up a lot of space in my life for me to explore my passions. And I think it's so important, especially during this time where many dentists have been, we've all been home during the last month or two. You're realizing that you might need to diversify your life a little bit, because if you're solely relying on just your job to bring you happiness, or just your profession is your identity, then that's a very dangerous place, because something can be taken away from you. And we've seen this so fast happen now, like that can be taken away from you through a pandemic like this, or through an injury, or through an accident. And if you don't have other passions in your life, it'd be very easy to not feel fulfilled. So very lucky that this is a profession where we have the time and space to pursue other passions. And like I mentioned, yoga is a huge one for me. And that's something where I still teach weekly. It's something that I think is really important for other dentists. You have time after work to really focus on your physical well-being. So that's been probably the best part for me.
That's great. And I feel like we covered most of my questions. So do you have any like closing thoughts, any final advice you really want to get out to the listeners?
Yeah. I think I emphasized the important part of having balance already. But that is so true during dental school and after. And so a lot of times in life, and this applies to so many different situations in life, where we'll work towards something and it's like this constant, like once I reach that goal, then I will do it. And so your goals maybe keep evolving and changing and getting further from you. And so I challenge people to shift their perspective in that, and not constantly say like, okay, I will be less stressed or I'll be happier once I graduate dental school. Cause I'm sure you said that about applying to dental school. You're like, okay, I'll chill out once I'm accepted to dental school. And then now the goal is okay, once I graduate. And then now the goal is once I get my first job. And then now the goal is like, once I hit whatever is in my savings account. So there's always going to be evolution in your goals, and you need to learn and to practice finding joy and happiness outside of that. And that comes from a work-life balance. So don't wait to be happy once you're a dentist. Start being happy as a student, as a dental student and in dental school, and make that a priority, because that's so important. You're walking into one of the most stressful times of your life. And if you're not listening to your body and listening to your mental health, then it can be a very difficult time. But if you go in with a mindset of knowing what brings you happiness and then prioritizing and making time for that in your life, that's such a healthy habit you're building. And then it's going to continue to serve you after graduation.
All right. Well, thank you. And then do you have, if people do have more questions specifically for you, what's the best place for them to reach out? Is it on Instagram? Do you
Yeah, I would say Instagram's a great place because I will answer messages pretty quick. And it is an area where I'm trying to connect with other dentists and more dental students. So I am there as a resource. And over time, I'll be sharing more of my story on my Instagram as well. So it's at Dr. Shavasana.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.